Hey y'all, and saw a couple mistakes or problems that people are struggling with, so I just kind of threw this together real quick to be able to send it out to anyone who might be struggling with the parabolas and just kind of getting the idea going. I know we did this a couple weeks before break, so really easy to forget this. So just remember, there's two formulas you want to focus on. The first formula is like the standard parabola. If you have a parabola that's opening up or down, you're using this formula where you're putting x minus h squared and then y minus k with 4p in front of it. But if you have a parabola that's opening up to the left or the right, then you're going to use this formula. It's a little bit different. You're just moving the y minus k to the squared and the x minus h next to the 4p. So left or right, you're going to square the y. Up or down, you're going to square the x. And then you're always going to put the 4p on the one that's not squared. Also remember that if the parabola is going to the left or going down, left or down is in the negative direction. So instead of being a positive 4p, you're going to have a negative 4p at the end, right? So here's just a couple examples I saw that we could talk about. So this first one, they give you this picture and they said, go ahead and write this in its standard form, right? So the first thing that I noticed is that the vertex is right here. So I know the vertex or the center of this parabola is going to be at the point 0, -1. That is going to be super important to being able to plug into our final standard form, our final vertex form. This part right here where this 2 is, the 0, 2, that's called the focus. And the focus is going to help us because the distance between the focus and the vertex is what we'd call P. So in this case, you can see that it's 1, 2, 3 units between them. So we know that P is equal to 3. And then, like I said, it's just a matter of choosing which form you want. Since I have a graph that opens up, that's not that. Since I have a graph that opens up, I want to use the x squared formula. So I know that I'm going to have x minus h squared equals 4p y minus k. If you forget if it's h or k, just remember that this always goes with the x value. This always goes with the y value. That's all you got to really remember. And we'll plug this stuff in. So I know that my x has a 0 on it, so I'm going to have x minus 0 squared. My p is 3, so I'm going to have 4 times 3. And then I've got y minus k. The -1 is on the k, so we're going to have y minus -1. Minus -1 is going to give me y plus 1. So remember, this will look the opposite of what it is up here. And then it's just a matter of simplifying. X minus 0 is x, so I have x squared on this side. Here, 4 times 3 is 12. And then I have this y plus 1. This would be the standard form. If we want to leave it in standard form, this would be it. But they asked us to put it in vertex form on IXL. So what we're going to start by doing is we're going to divide by 12. Divide by 12. We could rewrite this as 1/12 x squared, and it means the same thing. And that cancels. So now I have y plus 1 over here. So I need to get the y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 1. So I subtract 1 to this side. And that leaves me with just y. And I think when you type it in, it might accept it that direction, but I've seen all the correct answers, like when it says it's correct, they put the y first, the non-squared one first, so it'd be y equals 1/12 x squared minus 1. And that would be the answer for that one, right? That's a 1, not an r, by the way. 1. Okay, so the other one that you might see is like this if it's going to the left. It's the same process, it just changes how the formula works. So again, you're going to look at the vertex here, which this one gave me an interesting vertex. It's just at 0, 0. So my center is at 0, 0. And then this one, they gave me something different. This one, they gave me this line here, which we call the directrix. And the directrix, it does the same thing as the focus. It's just that wherever the directrix is, the focus is the same number of units away inside the parabola. So see how this is 1, 2, 3 units away? That means the focus is 1, 2, 3 units away. So the focus is right there. Really, though, all that tells you still is that P is still equal to 3, right? However far the vertex is from the directrix or the vertex to the focus gives you P. And with those two things, we can then punch it into our formula. So this time, since it's opening up to the left, we're going to use y minus k squared. Nope, hk. Yeah, y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h. And I'm going to plug my stuff in. Well, my h and my k are both 0. So really, it's going to be y minus 0 squared. So we're going to get y squared. Over here, you're going to have x minus h, which is going to give me... Sorry, I just had a moment that I worried I did something wrong on there. So I'm going to have 4 times 3. And then x minus h is going to give me just x, right? Because x minus 0 is x. So then we're gonna do some simplifying here. One thing we have to be careful of, though, is because this graph is opening to the left, it tells me that this is going to be a negative 4p. Remember, if it opens up to the left or down, you have to make that negative. So always think about that before you put your answer into the problem. So when I go ahead and simplify here, I get y squared equals negative 12x. Divide by negative 12, divide by negative 12, and ultimately I'm going to get negative 1/12 y squared is equal to x, which again, like I said, IXL shows the correct answer as having that, the x first, the non-squared thing first. So it would be x equals negative 1/12 y squared. So hopefully that'll help you out in getting through those problems. Let me know if you have any questions.